All right, so let's just get started. So welcome to our Student Experience webinar series. My name is Akib, and I work as the Senior Marketing Officer at the College of Science and College of Health and Medicine. So I will be your host for today's session. But before we start, I would like to introduce you to our panelists today. We have Suji, who's doing her Master of Public Health, and we have Lebo, who's also studying the Master of Public Health, but an advanced program. Today, they're here to share their insights and experience and to answer any questions that you may have. So let's get started. Hi, Suji and Lebo. Thanks for joining us today. Could you tell us about yourself, your background, and how you progressed into the field of public health?
Me? Yeah. So my background is in psychology and political science. So I came to ANU to study undergrad in 2012. And my focus was largely like in psych, but then also the kind of intertwined thing with politics as well, focusing on social psychology and group processes. So after undergrad, I did some research and joined the ANU Psych School there, which kind of led me to take on further study. I think in terms of getting into public health itself, it's something that has always kind of been, I guess, a degree that I plan to do because my family works in public health. And so it was something that I was always kind of, I guess, involved with and aware of, just all the processes. And my dad was a consultant with various, like the WHO, the World Bank, whatever. So it's just always been something that I was going to do and always be part of my life.
Wow, that's interesting. So Lebo, what's your story? What's your background? How did you progress into the field of public health?
Okay, great. What I said earlier on is that from Botswana. Botswana is a country found in the southern part of Africa. Mm-hmm. And that's where I did my undergrad. And in my undergrad, I did microbiology. Upon completion, I started teaching for like 20 years. And the last 10 years of my teaching was in a nursing institution. And after 10 years of being on the implementation side of policy, I felt I was ready to influence policy. And then to get the right skill of policy design and implementation pointed me towards public health. That's how I got into the public health.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are you enjoying Canberra? Seems like a big move for you from Africa to here.
Yes, it has been. But you know, one thing that I liked about Canberra is that like most African cities, it is less populated, or like the cities in my country, our population is very small, 2 million. So right. When I got here, like there was less congestion. It felt like home. And the other thing that I like about Canberra is its richness in history and culture. If you want to learn more about the history of Australia, you get to go to the Parliament, the War Memorial, the museums. So yeah. I love it. That's been great.
Yep. Do you miss home food back here?
Yeah, you get to, but most of the food that they have here is what we eat basically back home. Just a few bits missing, but it has been okay.
That's really interesting. So Suji, are you from Canberra originally?
No, I'm from Sydney, so not quite as far away as Lebo.
Yeah, 3 hours drive.
Yep.
So how are you enjoying the move to Canberra?
Well, I've been here for quite a while. So when I first came, it was a big change, like going from, because I live quite close to the city as well, so I'm very used to being in a city. Mm-hmm. And so I think moving over here was quite a big change for me. Yeah. There was a bit of an adjustment period, but now I really like it and it's really grown on me. And there's things here that aren't in Sydney, like, for example, being surrounded by mountains all the time. Right. And it's just a very easy place to live. And everyone's kind of, like, a lot of people have moved here from other places. So everyone's really friendly, which I think is really nice. It's very welcoming. And I'm still here after 8 years. So obviously I like it. Otherwise I wouldn't have stayed.
I think that's a good point. So did you do your bachelor's here as well at ANU?
Yeah, I did.
Right. That's good to know. So with the Masters of Public Health, of course, there are different areas of specialization. So what's your area of interest, and what are you working on at the moment?
Me. Sorry, I'm just never sure whether I should go or whether I should go. Sorry. So my area that I'm working in right now, so right now I'm actually working for ANU as part of the Research School of Population Health, doing some work on COVID-19. So that area is kind of global population health, but throughout my studies, I've looked at a lot of different areas. So it's probably easier just to list them. So things like public health surveillance, global health, climate change, social determinants of health, mental health policy, stats, public health policy, and epidemiology. And you can kind of delve into each one because the courses are quite in depth, and then you can kind of get a feel for what you want to do.
Right. So you've stated that you did your bachelor's here and then you decided to do the public health. But Lebo, what about you? Why did you choose to study public health at ANU?
Um, what I liked about the course, the way it is designed, it is diverse, lots of different courses such that you pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
It's very flexible. You get to choose if you are interested in infectious diseases, you choose courses that deal with infectious diseases. If it's health policy, you get to choose courses related to health policy. So that's what really interested me in the program here. And there are modules on indigenous health. Like I really liked that because we have indigenous people as well.
Right.
I felt it will be applicable once I get back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, are you in your final year now? Are you about to finish?
Yes, I am about to complete. I've just completed my third semester. I'm left with only one semester before I graduate. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting, isn't it? So, what plans do you have for your future?
The plans that I have, because I work for Botswana Ministry of Health,
Mm-hmm.
I would hit back home after graduation, and I have been in the training department. I plan to ask for a switch, like a transfer, and go to the health promotion department because I feel that's where I would make use of the skills and from here effectively or efficiently. Because I'd like to be involved in the formulation of effective interventions of disease prevention. As you know, nowadays we are moving from the curative to the prevention. Hello?
I think we lost you at the last bit there.
The last bit, oh, I just said I'm interested in the prevention because nowadays we are moving from the preventive from the curative rather to the preventive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how about you, Suji? So what plans do you have after you graduating? You're in your last year as well now.
Yeah, so I actually finished this semester. So I've submitted my last assignment, which is very exciting. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a bit sad to be done, to be honest, but so my plan now is probably to stay in academia. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm already working with the ANU on some research, and I really enjoy research, so I think that's definitely where I want to stay. It's probably, I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to do a PhD, but that's definitely where I plan to go, and probably staying at ANU as well because I think that the academics here are experts, and I really like working with them, and I would like to continue that.
Right. So what's the research that you're working on at the moment?
So I'm working on a few different projects, but all of it is to do with COVID-19. So it's part of the COVID-19 task force at the ANU. So there's various different areas, but some is things to do with Indigenous health, some preventative health, some just looking at what we have so far. And I'm also just doing a little bit of stuff with the actual MPH as well. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Okay. Oh, that's Yeah, that's interesting. So you were talking
Yeah.
about going into PhD, but so you've done your normal program. So how do you progress into a PhD after doing the normal program without research component in it? So did you
So
have a research component?
no, so my experience is a little bit different. So my degree, my MPH was only a year because of my undergrad. So in undergrad, I did honors as well. And then I got credit for my science degree and I got credit for my honors. So um, I don't have to do the research component because I've already done one, just in a different
Ah, okay,
discipline.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. So for the students who are studying the Masters of Public Health, what are some of the facilities that are available for the students? For example, labs or internships.
Nabo, do you want to go or should I?
Yeah. I think you do the internship. I'll just do the labs. Like
Yeah.
even though we do not have the actual labs, like we do lab work, but the School of Population Health avails various opportunities for volunteer work where we are able to implement theory outside the classroom, which I believe that's the practical aspect. For example, I took an opportunity to assist the ACT Health to do contact tracing for COVID-19. And it has been an amazing experience because I got the opportunity to work with experts from different fields, fields from surveillance, epidemiology, and disease control, which I feel is a perfect experience giving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's really interesting. So what was exactly contact tracing, Lebo? So what exactly was the?
Contact tracing was in a case where somebody tests positive for COVID-19,
Yeah,
and then you try to identify whom they have had contact with,
right.
and then you try to notify the individual so that they quarantine as well, so
Yeah.
that they do not spread the infection. So that's what we had been doing.
Right. So I think it's worked out really well in our favor, at least in Australia. Like the cases are almost next to zero at the moment. So I think Australia
Yes,
has done a really good job in terms of containing the virus.
they have done exceptionally well. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So Lebo, what's your take on the internships? So have you done any internships? Sorry.
I The internship is Suji. I think Suji will say something about the
Yeah.
internship. With me, it was just yeah.
Yeah, so I did an internship with the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. This was not related to anything to do with COVID. So there are things outside of that as well. Um, so that counted as a unit. So one of my courses, and I did a 3-month internship with the Indigenous Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Unit, which was part of the AHW, or I can't even remember what they want to call it. The Doesn't matter. So as part of that, I undertook a research report, which is going to be published later on under the AHW, and also worked basically just as another employee over those 3 months, and contributed the same amount as anyone else. But it enabled me to kind of get a feel for working for government, and working in that type of setting in the public health field rather than, say, research or academia.
Right. So how did you apply for that internship?
So it's directly through ANU. So it was advertised on the ANU website.
Right.
So they organize quite a few different internships, just yeah, as to be taken as a course.
Mhm. Good to know. So so you've been an ANU for about 8 years now. So probably this question you may have to reflect on this. So what are some of the support services that you accessed as a student when you first came here?
Um, yeah, true. Um, it's been a while, but I think some of them are still the same as what like I've accessed in later years as well.
Hmm.
So I think at the ANU, there's things like in terms of mental health support, and there's the counselling centre which is available for students.
Right.
And then a big thing when I first came was academic skills and learning. So that's basically a centre where various tutors will help you work through your assignments. Because uni work is quite different to, high school or something. So kind of helping you structure that. I also lived in a dorm. So then there was a lot of support within that in one of the university halls of residences with social support and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's really good how, there are like different kind of services offered by the university, not only for the domestic, but also for the international students. It's really good support as the community, for the community. Something commendable. So this one's for Lebo. So Lebo, so since you've almost about to finish the Master of Public Health Advanced program. So I've heard that the advanced is a little slightly more complicated than the normal program because it's got the research component. So how easy is it to balance study and work and research at the same time?
And it's not complicated at all. It's just that you get to do research. The program is very flexible. How you get to do, you get to do your research after you've completed your first year. Mm-hmm. But how you get to do it is totally dependent on you, because the research component is like 4 units. So you have a choice of how you split it between the 2 last semesters of your final year. For example, myself, I just took 1 unit this semester, which is my 3rd semester, where I'm now working on my proposal. And then next semester, I'll work on the 3 units where I'll be doing my data analysis and then the final write-up. So it is quite flexible. And you can balance all the 3.
Oh, perfect. So can you tell us a bit more about the research that you're doing as a part of the program?
Yes, I am actually working on antimicrobial resistance from my country, where I'm trying to look at the levels, the burden of the antimicrobial resistance. And it's something that has not been done like at national level. Right. So it will be the first research to be done at national level to look at the levels of the resistance in bacterial pathogens.
Perfect. Yeah. So finally, so how do you feel about the current COVID-19 situation? I know you've done a lot of work in this situation. You've helped a lot of us Australians here to battle the situation, avoid contact, and all of those things. But as a student for you, what did anything change as much, and how are you dealing with this change?
I think there has definitely been a change in terms of everything has switched to remote learning, so everything is now totally online. But the uni has been really supportive with all of that. So that was a few weeks into the semester where Australia basically made the decision to shut down, and ANU made it quite early as well. We were quite proactive in that approach. And so we made the transition so that all of the lectures and everything would be accessible online, and things that were meant to be face-to-face would either be pre-recorded or done live via a Zoom session like this. And I think it was definitely difficult at the start, not so much in terms of accessing the content, but just adjusting to the change. But the lecturers, at least for me, they always made sure to hold Q&A sessions for assessments, or just in general if anyone wanted to check in, and always made themselves available. So I think it's a massive thing to have happened, but I think that the transition was really as smooth as it could have been.
Right. Yeah.
How about you, Lebo? Do you want to add something to that?
Yes, I think as Suchi has already alluded, it was not easy initially, but the support from the various departments has been amazing, like IT, health and well-being. Yeah. For example, I had to I'm taking 2 courses that I had to use softwares like the Starter and ArcGIS. Yeah. The IT department was able to provide that for free, and we're able to do our practical sessions. So it has been very good, and the support from our lecturers as well. We have managed. Yeah, they have been really supportive.
Right. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing those insights. So now we have some questions which were submitted by the students when they initially registered for the webinar. So we'll start taking some of those questions. And for all the viewers who are watching the webinar, feel free to send through some questions in the question answer tab at the bottom of your screen. And we'll try to answer those questions as well. So the first question is, what are some of the future prospects after completing masters in public health? So it's open for both of you. If anybody wants to start with that, and the other one can add in.
I can start. So I think the three biggest kind of areas that you can work in are government, non-government organizations, and academia. And then within those three realms, then there's a fair few different jobs that you can do. So obviously in academia, you can do research, but that can also involve field work. So, you know, epidemiology, or if you're a researcher, or if you're a data analyst. And then in government, it's kind of similar, except you'll be doing research towards informing policy and things like that. And then NGOs, again, like you'd be doing things like supporting things like COVID going on, and there's a lot of NGOs and epidemiologists and disease specialists who are doing work to support countries in figuring out like what you need, whether it's PPE or, you know, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of different elements. Hopefully Lebo can go into more depth because I obviously can't.
Yeah.
No, but you've mentioned them all. I think basically that's some of the areas where somebody could get employment from. Yeah.
And I know a lot of our professors as well, like they're working currently with the different governments across Southeast Asia to provide, they're providing solutions on sanitation, health, and things like that. So I think it's quite exciting and on how many levels that this program can actually, students can get into different fields. So that's quite exciting. So the second question is the Master of Public Health a coursework or a research degree program? Can one pursue PhD after completing the program? I think you both are a good example because Suji, you're doing the Master of Public Health, the normal program, and Lebo, you're doing the Master of Public Health advanced program.
Yes,
So,
yes.
can you tell what was your course structure like while you studied and what leads to PhD?
My course structure was the first year I had to do coursework. So there were like some compulsory courses.
Yeah.
I think around 4 or 5, and then from there you just get to choose depending on your interest. Yeah, and then you just have to maintain an average mark of 70%. If you are able to, if you get that, then you proceed to do your research. So you come up with a topic, you get a supervisor.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it easier to get a supervisor, Lebo? Is it easier to find a supervisor?
Yes, yes. The lecturers are always willing to supervise as long as it's an area that they have interest in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important. So how about Suji? You studied the Master of Public Health, the normal program. How did you find the coursework?
I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed it. As I kind of said earlier, that I'm sad to be done because I think the course, something that, like both in terms of the coursework and in general, something that really struck me is that the lecturers are really eager to get you involved in the material, and it always felt more collaborative. Like it never really felt like you were a student, even though you were learning from them. They were just as eager to learn from you, and then you're learning from experts from all over the place. So whether they're working in climate change or whether they're working in global health or what have you, it's like people who really know what they're talking about. And I found it incredibly enjoyable, like far more than undergrad.
Right.
Yes, that's what I liked as well. Sorry, bringing in experts. Yeah, it was really informing because you work with people who, like, what they tell you is what they deal with every day.
Yeah.
So it was really a good experience.
Right. So the next question is, can one integrate public health with psychology studies? What could or possibly be the outcome of that? Suji, you mentioned that you're doing a psychology program. So I think you will be able to answer that question really well.
Yep. So absolutely. I've really found that my psych background has been helpful, like very helpful with just understanding concepts in public health. And I feel like I've kind of got almost a step up, like a helping hand, because a lot of it is connected, especially in this kind of wave of public health. And a lot of it is about behavior change, which of course is a massive theme in psychology. And so I think in terms of work that comes onto that, like, or comes from that, then there's stuff that you can do which kind of intertwine both. So aspects of social psychology, if you're looking at kind of social determinants of health, and then how social processes can also contribute to that. Or you can be focusing on more clinical mental health things, and if whether that's policy or whether that's, you know, what might influence certain factors. I don't know, it just, yeah, I think it ties in really, really well together.
Right. And how much of the program consists of biostatistics? Is there a lot of, is it mandatory for students to study a lot of biostatistics, or is it quite flexible?
It is quite flexible. The compulsory component is just biostats, just one unit or one course. And the way it is designed, it's so good. The guidance, and they literally carry you through the course. Even if you are not good in maths or stats, you still manage to work well or complete the course. So it's not too much of statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's doable, even if you're not good in maths or statistics.
Right. And there's the final question, which says, are there any hands-on or fieldwork opportunities during the program? I think we have covered most of it. Like Lebo, you're working on a lot of projects as a part of your research, and Suji, you've done some internship as well. It was a part of your program, and it counted towards the credit. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities, and it's quite hands-on as well. And we've got a question here. So what is the English requirement for the program? IELTS 7 and every band scored not lower than 7. So the English requirement for this program is an IELTS score of 6.5 and overall 6.5 and individual 6. And I hope that answers the question. Great. So we are towards the end of the session, Suji and Lebo. Thank you so much for being a part of today's webinar. And I know it's an exam week coming up soon, and I'm not sure if you've got some papers to submit, or you've got your exams, but good luck and congratulations again, Suji, for completing your program. Hope you stay here around the university and we can have another session with you all. Thank you, Lebo. Thank you so much. Thanks both.
Thank you. Sorry about the video, the connection.
That's totally all right.
Yes.
Thank you. See you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.